which involves a lot of music questions or trademark, copyright questions. And I also do real estate closing, so I can answer some real estate questions as well.
Good afternoon, I'm Elrika Coleman. I graduated from Harvard University School of Law. I practice family law and insurance, so I do divorces, child custody cases, also sue insurance companies for property damage claims.
Hi, I'm Natasha Bush. I am from North Augusta, South Carolina. I went to the University of South Carolina for undergrad and the Ohio State University for law school. After law school, I worked for 2 bankruptcy judges and had my own bankruptcy firm, but currently I work for the Social Security Administration, so I can answer your questions regarding bankruptcy and Social Security.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Charlotte Shabito. I work for the Schwartz Law Firm, and our law firm represents, we do exclusively employment law. And we represent employees, we represent employers on issues regarding discrimination, retaliation, harassment, involve anything regarding race discrimination, sex discrimination, age, religion, national origin. I think that we're representing because there are a lot of nurses law grads here. So they go to nurse law. Went to Georgia Tech for industrial organizational psychology degree, and I went to Hampton University undergrad. So if you have any questions regarding employment law, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thanks.
Hello everyone, my name is Amadou Wilshire, and I own my own law firm, and we do a lot of immigration law and wills, trusts, and estates. I went to the University of Tampa for undergrad, and I went to the Charlotte School of Law where I did my first law degree, and then I went over to Stetson University where I did my master's in international business law, and then I went to Washington University in St. Louis where I did my master's in taxation law. So, any questions you have pertaining to immigration law and wills, trusts, and estates, I'll be happy to help.
Thank you. And I guess since I didn't say this, I went to Georgia State for undergrad. I majored in criminal justice, which was a waste of a major. The only thing you really do is probably become a police. That's what people used to ask me all the time. You want to become a police officer? I was like, no, I'm going to go to law school. So I went to Mercer Law as well, which is actually where I met and started to become a Mercer School. The first question that we're going to go is for you.
Okay.
And is, I am Florence Short, getting married to America. How do I become a citizen through the naturalization process? And what does that entail?
Okay, so first of all, if you are foreign born, you should, if you're foreign born and you have a green card before you're married, then 5 years after you have gotten your green card, you can apply to become a citizen of the United States of America. But if you are foreign born and you do not have a green card, and you are married an American citizen spouse, then 3 years after you become a permanent resident is when you can apply for citizenship. You must have a clean criminal record. And when I mean a clean criminal record, there are crimes of moral turpitude. So you must not have engaged in things like murder, prostitution, fraud, and those sorts of things which the U.S. government can bring your character into question. So any crime that can bring your character into question leads to a crime of moral turpitude. So basically just have a clean criminal record, pay your taxes, and yeah, you should be okay for filing for citizenship.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just a quick follow-up on that. If a person does not have a green card, they're still getting married to an American citizen, how is the process different?
It's basically just the length of time that's going to be different. If you have gotten your green card and it's not through marriage, then you have to wait for 5 years to apply for American citizenship. But if you've gotten your green card through marriage to an American citizen, you must then, after 3 years, you can apply.
Thank you. The next question is for Charlotte. I have filed a dispute retaliates against me for filing a discrimination claim, and they fire me.
Well, in terms of, I always tell folks, what the law says and what happens in real life. First of all, you have the equal opportunity commission. If you believe that you're being discriminated against based on your gender or sex, you can file an EEOC charge with the equal opportunity commission. And what the EEOC does is it's a government agency, a federal agency that investigates charges based on race, sex, religion, national origin. So you definitely want to file a charge. They'll ask you a brief explanation of what happened. They'll send out a request for information from the employer, trying to get the employer's particular side of it. And they also will do an investigation. And the investigations can be lengthy. It can be over a year, but it takes time for them to do an investigation. And a lot of investigators have a lot of discretion over whether they talk to witnesses at the company, in terms of what questions they ask, what they ask for documents. In terms of whether a company can fire you after, in retaliation for filing an EEOC charge, they can fire you. Now, is it illegal? Absolutely. But I always tell folks, whenever you file a discrimination charge, like the EEOC would have you, you're still employed, there is a risk that your employer will terminate you. Now, does that set up another charge that you can file? Absolutely. You can always go back to the EEOC and say, hey, I filed this original charge, and now my employer terminated it, so now it's retaliation, so I want to add that to the charge, which you should do to amend the charge. But realistically, can an employer terminate you? They can. Is it illegal for them to terminate you strictly because you filed an EEOC charge? Absolutely. But I would encourage, I'm a big advocate for the EEOC in terms of, it's a free option, but also you can also.
If you can go in the middle.
That process as well.
Okay, so the next question is for this person. And the question is, can I obtain bankruptcy protection again if I have filed a bankruptcy claim in the past and am now falling behind the claim again?
Yes, you can. There really is no limit of how many times you file bankruptcy unless the judge prohibits you from filing. But the question is which chapter you will be allowed to file. Now, as for chapter 7, I believe it's you can file get a discharge every 8 years from the last discharge. So if you file a chapter 7, which is one of the types of chapters most consumers file, and you got your chapter 7 discharge, you have to wait 8 years before you can file another chapter 7. And that's the chapter that wipes, well, most people say wipes your debt out. But as for chapter 13, that option is always available. There may be some hoops you have to jump over to be able to get some of the bankruptcy protections if you keep refiling, but you're not prohibited from refiling after filing, no matter what chapter. So if you file a chapter 7 and then you need to go back and do a 13, you can. If you did a 13 and you need to go back and do another 13, you can do that too. But it may just determine whether a certain debt is discharged or not, but you can get the bankruptcy.
Now, you said something about wiping out all that. What is bankruptcy just in general, and does it actually wipe out all of that?
Not really, it doesn't wipe out all your debt. Now, there are 2 chapters that most, consumers file. Actually, there are 3 chapters that consumers can file. You file a chapter 7, a chapter 13, or a chapter 11. Now, chapter 11 is usually for big businesses and people with a lot of debt. But chapter 7 is what we call liquidation. That's the one that usually people think of wiping out your debt. Now, it does wipe out, could possibly wipe out most of your debt. The only things that are not wiped out are your student loans, and certain taxes. So with student loans, they can be wiped out also in chapter 7, but you have to be sick and show the court that you cannot in the future pay that debt. And that can be wiped out actually in chapter 7, but majority of the times, student loans and certain taxes are not wiped out. Now, the taxes that are not, that can be wiped out in a chapter 13 are taxes that have been filed and assessed 3 years prior to filing. So don't think that your taxes can't be wiped out also. But it will get rid of, according to what your assets are. So I have to back up with bankruptcy, because the whole thing stems on, what your assets are and what exemptions the state allows you to keep. So if you, after we add up how much your assets are, how much the state allows you to keep, or the value of those assets, so we figure out what your net equity is. If there is not a lot of net equity, you can file a chapter 7. And then in chapter 7, like I said, it'll wipe out your liability to have to pay anyone except for certain taxes, student loans, and child support, and and debts from a divorce decree. So if there were debts that you were required to pay in your divorce, you're still liable for those also. Yes.
I have question. Is it possible somehow to file bankruptcy and save your credit score on level? Does law protects that?
No, your credit score will be hit. However, after you get that discharge, you're open to go and rebuild your credit. Now, I've had clients who we filed a case in a chapter 7 to take you, you'll be in it maybe 100 days. They got that chapter 7 discharge, and that same day we got that discharge, they went out and bought a car at a better interest rate than what they had before they filed the bankruptcy. So, a lot of times it helps, but your credit score possibly will be hit, but then after you get your discharge, you're welcome to start rebuilding your credit by getting a small credit card and paying it on time, and rebuilding your credit to build back up that score. But to go back, so chapter 7 will wipe out most of your debts. Now, one thing with chapter 7 is that people think you can't keep your home. You can keep your home, but you got to be current with the payments. And then there's certain things you have to do with the home too. You can reaffirm that debt. That means enter the same agreement you have with that creditor and continue to pay them. So if your home is current and you want to keep your home and file the chapter 7, which will wipe out like credit cards, medical bills, and certain things, you can do that. But you have to be current with it. You can do the same thing with your car. You can keep your car in chapter 7, and there are different things you can do with the car. You can reaffirm, which means you enter that same agreement with that creditor and continue to pay them. But if you do that, it's going to take it out of the bankruptcy. And if you ever get behind, they can come back after you under the state laws to take the car back. You can redeem a car in a chapter 7. Which is, let's say you're upside down on a car, so you owe $30,000, but the car is really only worth $7,000. In a chapter 7, if you can come up with that $7,000 within about 60 days of filing, you can pay them that $7,000 and get the car and never have to worry about the difference that you didn't pay and walk away with the vehicle. And then sometimes I even give my clients the options of, we don't even reaffirm, which is enter that same agreement. We just ride it through. You just keep sending them your payments and staying current, and they can't take the car from you. But there's some other things that go along with that. But in the chapter 7, you can keep your house if you're current. You can keep your car if you're current. You can keep your secured property, things that are necessary for an effective reorganization. But other things will be wiped out. That means that you will no longer be responsible for them, and they can never come back after you to ask you for the debt. Such as a lot of my clients used to go to the finance companies, finance loans, credit cards, medical bills, all those other things will be wiped out. But everything in the chapter 7 is based upon, well, in bankruptcy, how much net equity you have once we add it up at the end of the day. And if that's the best chapter for you, as opposed to a chapter 13, where if the chapter 7 wasn't good, we can do a slight repayment plan. But I hope I've answered the question.
No, thank you so much. And you kind of hit on child support, so that actually brings us perfectly into our next panelist. And my question for you, Ms. Coleman, is I forgave my ex-boyfriend for unpaid child support because he told me he was struggling to find work because of his criminal history. I later discovered that he was lying about his employment situation. Is it possible to pursue unpaid child support?
Yes, the child support obligation belongs to the minor child, not to the parent. So a parent cannot waive or forgive the child support obligation, regardless of whatever reason it is that he gave you at the time. The exception to that is if she has signed any affidavits or presented to DHS if it's being collected for child support recovery and stated that he paid. Now, if she lied and said, oh, well, he paid this debt, and then they in exchange wiped that deficiency out, then she's out of luck. But if in the event that that did not happen, she can still pursue them for the back child support because it was never her debt to pay.
Our next question is for you, Chantal, a real estate question. if I've purchased a home and found that something inside the home was faulty when I purchased it, is there anything I can do after?
So it depends on, in the home, when you purchase a home, if they warranted certain things that, if in the contract that you signed, if they said that certain things were not faulty and then you found out after the fact, yes, you do have a claim, you can actually file a claim against the seller, and it'll be for a breach of contract or a breach of the warranty, and you'll just file a claim against them, and you'll explain to the judge, or your attorney will explain to the judge, the breach of contract, and you'll win, and then they will have to either repair it, or they'll have to financially give you those funds to get the faulty repaired.
Thank you. A criminal law question for you, Sarah. If I'm pulled over for a suspicion of DUI, can I refuse to take the breathalyzer test? And what will happen?
Yes, so I think if everyone heard his questions, if you're stopped for DUI, can you refuse the breathalyzer? And actually, fresh off the presses this week, Georgia law has changed for the better for all of us, which means, now they cannot, if you refuse to, take the breathalyzer on the side of the road or you're pulled over, they cannot use that against you as evidence at trial. Before this big case came down by the Supreme Court this week, they could. But there are some implications, and a lot of times officers will sort of say those things to you on the side of the road to steer you, in some way to taking it. And a lot of times they'll say, well, if you don't take the breathalyzer, your license will be suspended right away. So people often think, oh, my license is gonna be suspended, let me just do this. And that is not all true. So what will happen if you refuse a breathalyzer is, it will be suspended on the 30th day. So if you're arrested on January 1st, or you were pulled over on January 1st, 30 days after that, your license will be suspended. However, in those 30 days, you can have an attorney, hire an attorney. They can appeal that suspension. A lot of times you win. I would actually say in my experience, most of the time you win, which gives you your license back until we get your DUI case resolved. So, hope that answers your question. Yes, sir.
I have, sorry, me again, I have a follow-up question. I'm pretty sure that you had, in your practice, you had a lot of clients who are immigrants at the same time, who break criminal law. At this point, what would be your advice? Immigrant who is non-citizen, who broke U.S. criminal law, should he or she hire two attorneys at the same time who will represent in criminal court and immigration court at the same time? And how many criminal lawyers can do both at the same time?
So your first question was, should you hire two? I always say err on the side of caution, which is yes. Or what I do in my practice, if I've got some, and that's one of the first questions I'll ask the clients: are you a citizen? What's your immigration status? And if they are not a citizen, or there is some sort of immigration concern, I will tell them right off the bat, you need to consult with an immigration attorney, or a lot of times we'll do it where I consult with somebody as we're going throughout the case. But I would say generally the answer is yes, because things like you said earlier, crimes of moral turpitude, and that's a really weird word, moral turpitude. It's not like everybody knows what that means, but there are even very low-level misdemeanors that can be considered crimes of moral turpitude. So it's not just the murder cases or armed robbery cases. They can be some misdemeanors that can also have an impact on your immigration status. So absolutely, can't go wrong. Better safe than sorry, in my opinion.
Okay, so our next question is actually for you, Nigel. And I kind of wanted to hit on something that I feel like we kind of encounter every single day: car accidents, and what should we do in those kinds of situations. So my question is, what if the other party in a car accident doesn't have insurance?
So the person that hits you does not have insurance?
No insurance, never even tried.
Okay, so under Georgia law, if you are going to drive a car, the car must have a minimum of $25,000 in liability insurance. That is mandatory. You cannot choose to not pay it. You must have it. Then there's also optional coverage, which is up to you if you want it or not, because it's gonna cost you more money on top of your liability insurance, and that's called UM, and the UM stands for uninsured or underinsured. So, and that coverage will kick in if you're hit by a person who's uninsured, or let's say you're hit by someone and they only have 25,000, but then your damages are more than the 25,000, then that person will be underinsured as well. And then your own UM coverage will now come in to protect you. So if you're driving around in your car and you only have liability insurance, you're putting yourself at risk if you get into a collision where the at-fault driver does not have any insurance. Because then you will not have any UM to help you recover your damages.
Let's tweak it a little bit. What if I'm partially to blame in the accident?
So under Georgia law, when you're looking at negligence, who caused the accident, courts do what's called apportionment. So they will assign a percentage of how much each person is liable for the accident. So you're sitting at a stop sign, someone rear-ends you, you're 0% at fault, 100% liability is on them, right? But what if you're driving down the highway and you don't see the other car, and both of you try to merge into a lane at the same time and you get into an accident? Now the court is going to say, okay, who is more at fault? And if they find out that you're 50-50, there's no recovery. Both of you have to go through your own insurance to get a claim. But the person who's going to be more at fault, like 80%, 90%, that's how much of your damages they will have to pay. Yes.
Question that I always wanted to ask someone but never had a chance. It's a very great opportunity. If I borrowed someone's car on weekend, does my progressive, for instance, coverage that cover my car also covered someone else's car in such situation of accident?
So it depends. So when you buy insurance, the insurance follows the car. It doesn't follow the driver. So whatever car you bought with Progressive, whatever car you have when you bought your insurance with Progressive, that's how much coverage you're gonna have if you let someone else drive your car. So if you're driving someone else's car, and then you get injured by somebody, it's a little bit more complicated. If you get injured by somebody and they don't have enough insurance, then your own UM, which you bought under your car, will then apply.
So at this point, it's good thing always to ask if I borrow someone else's car, if this car being insured. Okay.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You should ask them, because if you don't, then you would be liable for it as the person who made the decision to drive a car that did not have any insurance on it. Yes, sir.
Actually, I have two questions. First one is about the insurance payments, premiums. Every premium comes, the insurance pays up the premium. Is only the driver when the person is clean, no claim, no ticket, nothing. But every premium, they raise up the payment on that policy. Why is that? And second one is about mortgage. You have a house, you have a 30 years contract. If you pay the mortgage as today, the principal, they pay you, they charge you the interest rate the rest of 30 days or the cut off right there.
Okay, so I'll answer your first question about the insurance, and then
Okay.
hopefully Chantal can answer the second one. I believe your first question was, why does the insurance premium keep going up even when you're a good driver? So insurance companies have the right to set the price of their insurance at whatever they want. There's a number of factors that they look at. Primarily, they're going to look at your driving record. You know, how many tickets have you had, and if you haven't had any, then your insurance will be lower. But if you're in an accident and you're not at fault, you didn't cause the accident, then by law, they cannot raise your insurance. But people don't know that, so the best thing to do in that situation is get an attorney, to get a lawyer. So I have lots of clients where that's happened to them before or somebody else hits them, their own insurance goes up. If they didn't know to say something, they would have just paid it and no one would have known. Because they called me and told me, I contacted the insurance company and made sure that they took the payment back to what it was before.
Okay, more clarification of that one.
Okay.
Because in my case, I don't have no, so far, I don't have no return, no claim, and my premium is increased. And then I called the company, and she said, hey, state of Georgia is increased. It's not your problem, it's not your reason, not to do with your premium back, the state of Georgia increased, so nothing we can do about it. That's why she increased, the company increased the premium. So,
Can we talk one-on-one, because I need more
Okay,
information to be
sure,
able to
sure.
give you a more accurate answer. And before we ask, I think he had a
another
second question.
question, I need an answer.
I wanted to make sure I understood your question.
Okay, my second question was about the real estate, about mortgage. Okay, for example, if you have 100,000 principal left of your house, if you pay today, will they charge you? You have a contract for 30 years. Will they charge you the interest rate the rest of 30 years?
So, yes, I understand.
Okay.
So if you wanna pay your house off like today, even though you still have years in your agreement, when you ask for your payoff, so you'll file for a payoff, and they give you the amount that you have to pay today. So if you pay it today, no, you won't have to pay the interest for the rest of the term of the loan. You actually get to save all of that interest by paying your loan early.
Yes.
It's not a question, I just want to share my experience, how you can reduce a monthly fee for car insurance, for instance. It's very useful and it really works. You may call them and ask, they will send you special device that you attach to your car, and you have just to make sure that you drive it accurately with certain speed, and you may reduce your monthly fee by to 20% easily.
How can you reduce your car insurance payment?
Yes,
Be a good driver.
being a good driver, but sometimes you,
That's what he's talking about.
yeah, it's special program. You can show your company that you're good driver, and that's how it works. Yeah.
Look at that backfire. You're not a good
Right,
driver.
you're not a good
Not a good driver, use the device.
Okay.
Amadou, I have a Wills and Estates question for you. Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, on the insurance, if you're in a car accident, how does the diminished value work, and who's entitled to diminished value?
So it'll be set by the fair market value of your car at the time of the accident. So plenty of times they'll just look at something common like a Shelby book, and they have a lot of leeway to set the value of what they want. But if they like if you are driving a car and let's say it's a 2015 Honda Accord, right, and it's worth $25,000, it gets in a wreck, it's totaled, and they tell you that the diminished value of it is only $5,000 after it's been repaired. I'm sorry, not totaled. And you check on Blue Book and it's like maybe $15,000, so significantly more. You need to get the attorney, because in that situation, they're not gonna give you the amount that you want. That's something that you're gonna have to try to get on your own. If that answers your question.
Somewhat, so, I did ask, so who's entitled? Is it a age limit on a vehicle when it's in an auto accident? Or is that any vehicle? Could it be a 2000, a year 2000, or, so it's any vehicle? And every individual who's not at fault, who's been in a car accident, had damages, wasn't totaled, is entitled to diminished value.
No, the owner of the car is, whoever the title owner is.
Okay, and so how do, because a lot of insurance companies don't even mention diminished value when you're in a car accident.
Right.
A lot of people don't even know that there is such a name and that they're entitled to that. So if you're entitled to it and you're entitled, why is it that the insurance companies don't mention it?
Because insurance companies are for-profit
Yeah,
corporations.
they wanna keep the money, the insurance company wants to keep the money for themselves. They're not gonna tell you to make a claim that you didn't know not to make, unfortunately.
So, say for instance, if you don't know at the time, and you settle on the personal injury portion of the claim, but you don't settle on the property damage portion of the claim, how long do you have to settle on that property damage claim?
So the property, you have 4 years from the date of the accident to settle on your property damage, but then you only have 2 years for your personal injury claim. So what happens plenty of times is people get their personal injury claim settled, and they don't know to pursue a diminished value claim as well.
Okay, another part of that question too. So, is it true that the non-at-fault party has a right to take their vehicle to be repaired at any repair shop?
Yeah, because essentially what most insurance companies will do is they'll send one of their adjusters to whatever body shop you take the car to. So you have the freedom to take it to whatever body shop. It's very rare that they'll restrict it to certain body shops. And then the body shop will then give an estimate on how much it will cost to repair the car, or if it's totaled out, what the value is, send that invoice directly to the insurance company. So not give it to you. So like if you take it to like a Mako, for example, right? Mako will then send the estimate directly to the insurance company. And then the insurance company will issue the check for the repairs directly to Mako. And then all you have to do is you just get a phone call that says, hey, your car's ready, come and pick it up. And then you still have your diminished value claim on top of that.
So do you have to get the vehicle repaired right then? Or say for instance, if you in a wreck and you're injured and you're in the hospital, but you have somebody else that you know, given power of attorney to handle your, your business matters. How long do you have to get your car repaired? Say if you're still recovering from injuries.
So again, you will have 4 years to pursue your property damage from the date of the accident, whatever.
Okay, so it would still just be that 4
Yes.
years. Now, what if you get an estimate? Cause like, it used to be, they would say back in the day, a lot of advertisements used to say, if you were ever in a car accident, you can get your own estimate. So what if the insurance company doesn't, accept your estimate, and their estimate is different in value?
It's time to get a lawyer.
Okay. All right.
You're gonna need a lawyer because whatever you're basing it off of, they're gonna provide their own analysis of how they got there. So to dispute that, the best thing to do is to get a lawyer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I know that didn't really answer your question, I'm sorry, but yeah, that would be the best thing to do.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I have two questions. One is, can people without legal papers right now, obtain legal status without, if they don't have, let's say, criminal history, but they're here illegally, without any proper paper?
Can you repeat the question, please?
People, like, under any legal venues for people to obtain legal status right now by marrying somebody or, other than if they are gay.
Okay, so marrying someone does not automatically give you a green card in the United States, because you have to prove it's a bona fide marriage, and that is the threshold you have to overcome. If you cannot prove it's a bona fide marriage, it is best you do not marry the person. Because as long as it's notated in your file with your name in USCIS that you've entered a marriage for immigration purposes, it is very tough after that to adjust your status to a permanent resident. Because it is actually committing fraud in the United States. You're trying to defraud the United States government for an immigration purpose, and you can be placed into removal immediately, and they are cracking down on benefit marriages in a very big way.
Just a quick follow-up question. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you mean by a bona fide marriage?
A bona fide marriage, okay, so A bona fide marriage is one that was entered into based on love and, a marriage that you are in a mutual agreement that this is the person that you love and you want to spend the rest of your life with, that sort of thing. A marriage for an immigration benefit is marrying someone for a green card, and that is illegal.
How can you differentiate if I'm here legally, but I fall in love and I want to marry her?
Because at the interview, they look at certain things. If you have a bank account together, if you live together, which is one of the biggest things they look at. Because there are some people who are married and they're like, no, my husband or my wife lives in the next town, we don't live together. How are you going to prove that you're married to someone and you're not living together? They look at whether or not if you have children together. They look at your tax filings. Because how can you be married to someone and you're filing as single? They look at the affidavits that you bring in, the letters that you bring in from people. They look at things like photographs, and they also put you through an interview process. They will ask things like, what side of the bed do you sleep on? What was the meal you had yesterday morning? What is your wife's husband or wife's name? Parents' name. When is their birthday? What is their favorite color? And those are things that people in a real marriage should know. So when you go and they ask you, what is your wife's mother's name? Mama. Which country is your wife from? The one that's on her birth paper. Automatically, the immigration officer is going to tell you, wait right here. And they will give you a free pair of silver bracelets called handcuffs. And that's how it's going now. They are, it has become so tight now. And please understand why it's becoming this way. People think it's because of Trump and Trump and Trump. Not necessarily. It's because there have been people over the years who have abused the system, and the government has reached a point where enough is enough. And that's how,
Before we take any questions, now let's make a quick announcement.
I'd like to say that if you have any questions and you don't feel comfortable raising your hand, please raise your hand and ask us. If you don't feel comfortable asking a question to in front of them, please let one of us know and we'll write it down, and we'll direct the questions to Nigel later so he can actually ask questions for you. We can also do it in Tigrinya as well if needed a translator.
yes.
One question for the bankruptcy. What are the legal repercussions for people that file for bankruptcy? Let's say the legal status, say people with green card, so they file, and what are down the road? What are the risks for buying a White House or a credit card? How does that work?
Anybody can file. We don't even look at that, what your citizenship is or anything when you file a bankruptcy. So anyone is welcome to file and take advantage of the things. What was your second question?
What if they have any legal issues in terms of down the road applying for credit cards?
For some time, a debt cannot be discharged also if there's a section of the law that there are a few things that certain things can't be discharged other than the child support and stuff. And those are, like if you just try to defraud someone out of money, that debt cannot be discharged. So if you defrauded a credit card company out of money or lied to them, they can come and ask for that debt not to be discharged. Other things are like embezzlement, drinking and driving and injuring someone. That kind of debt is not discharged, but they actually have to file a lawsuit in the bankruptcy case and get a judgment against you in the bankruptcy case for that debt not to be discharged. They have a certain time to do that. during that bankruptcy, but.
Follow up on that one. Let's say a person has 3 different properties. One is paid off, 2 is currently paid off, but he doesn't want to pay out one of those houses. Can he declare bankruptcy on that one and still keep the other 2 houses?
You have to list everything you own and everyone you owe in a bankruptcy, and you cannot, to a certain extent, pick and choose how you want to treat certain creditors. Now, there are certain things, yeah, you can do, and you know, it's determined on your fact scenario. And there is a way that you might be able to keep those other 2 houses and get rid of that. But then there's also going to be a determination of, you know, you doing that, how much money you have left over, can you pay some of your other creditors? So you can't pick and choose who you want to file bankruptcy on. When you file, you got to list everybody. And certain treatment goes to, according to what kind of creditor they are. We have classifications for the creditors and what kind of debt you owe them, how that debt, you know, is.
Got it. Quick follow-up on those. If one of those houses were under LLC, that would be
Well, a
separate from
LLC
that
is a
person.
corporation and an entity in and of itself, so it would not come in your personal bankruptcy. That would have to be in an LLC's bankruptcy, which will be, either chapter 7 or, chapter 11.
However, if you are planning to file bankruptcy, you cannot transfer your freely owned home into an LLC and think that you can file bankruptcy and not include that property, because you're gonna have to list
All your
properties you transferred within a 24-month period prior.
Oh, the 24 months.
Well, and even if you have to list like a 24-month, the state statutes actually gives them like a 4-year look back. And so it's called fraudulent transfer. So, you know, I wouldn't transfer anything before filing bankruptcy, because then it looks at fraud. And then if they do find some type of fraud, there's a way they can make it where you cannot discharge anything that you listed in that bankruptcy ever. So the best thing is to tell the truth, be upfront, list everything, tell your attorney everything upfront.
Or you might get those free bracelets.
Right. And one other thing I just want to add to that is, because I was who wills trust in estates, don't think you can transfer it into a trust and it'll be protected, because that is going to allow them to pierce the trust.
I'll say that again, sorry.
Don't think you can transfer property also that you are gonna, to take it out of a bankruptcy, don't think you can put it into a trust and think that it's gonna be treated as separate, no, because they will pierce the trust in that instance, because it's gonna be seen as a fraudulent transfer.
Yeah. So if it's a property owner that owns multiple houses, is it better than to just have an LLC for each house in the time that they would declare bankruptcy?
I guess I don't quite understand what you're saying. You're saying put each house in a different LLC or something?
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna look at who owns everything, because in your bankruptcy, you have to list who all your partners are in every LLC that you got. And then they become what we call insiders. So they start looking at them and what type of transactions you have with them. Did you transfer it to them? What did they do with it? It all comes back into the estate, because the estate is anything that, whether it's a corporation or a person, that you have a legal or equitable interest in. And equitable means if you have any interest in it at all. If it was my daddy's and my daddy died and now it's kind of mine, or even if I was living in my cousin's, really, I've had this. If I was living in, let's say that I filed it before, my grandfather's house, but my name wasn't on the house, even if he was still alive, I've done it, I've filed bankruptcy for people that, because you have an equitable interest because you're living in it. So any legal or equitable interest that you have, anything that you have a legal or equitable interest in is going to come into that bankruptcy.
I have 2 questions. This is concerning, one is bill collectors. You don't have any loans, you don't have anything, but they will call you saying that, okay, you have a loan to pay, please try to talk to you things that you don't have. Second one is this phone that's going through the telephone calls. There is a warrant for your arrest. If you don't pay this one immediately, you are going to, someone is coming to you. I get those calls, but you know, I'm a federal officer. So now I have changed my answers. When I receive a call like that, when I This is for the DHS officer from Governor Crystal, can I help you? They immediately hang the phone. My wife gets a call saying, there's 5 warrants against you that someone is going to come and arrest you. Says, hey, somebody's calling you for this one. I said, just hang the phone. How would you handle this bill collectors that have already paid your bill or made an arrangement with the hospital or anywhere else that you're going to pay, but they will keep on calling you, you have to pay immediately, and they keep on harassing you? How would you handle this?
Block their number, I'm kidding.
My firm does a lot of that whole thing where you're being harassed. If you have paid that bill and they continue to call you, there is something called the FDCPRA, and bill collectors are not supposed to harass you or be belligerent with you. That's against the law. If I were you, I would get an attorney. But before I get an attorney, I would send a written letter that is registered and certified in the post. So they have to sign for receiving it, stating I paid this bill off. I put my name, my address, and probably the last copy of the check or whatever it is you paid to them. And because this is now you're putting them on notice that you paid this bill off. And if they continue to call you now, it's perfect harassment. And I would sue them for that.
And I just wanna add that as a criminal defense attorney, I can count on 0 fingers the amount of times that the government, whether it's the federal government or the police, are going to call you and give you the courtesy of letting you know that you have a warrant. If you've got 5 warrants out for your arrest, they're coming to your door at 3 o'clock in the morning to arrest you. So they're not gonna call you and say, just wanna let you know, you've got 5 warrants out. That's not gonna happen. So if somebody's calling you and saying that, huge red flag.
Yeah, but not only that, a lot of the other entities like DHS or whichever, they like to go for the IRS and all of that. I'm just saying this, the IRS and no government entity calls you, they send something written because of administrative law. They have to show that there was a written notification. So they would never call you. So when you get here, the guy from India saying, well, I'm calling from the IRS or the whatever, and they're saying, that's a fraudulent call.
And you can never be arrested for debt that you owe.
No, it's-
So when they start talking about arrest because you owe, that's completely.
I'm just bringing this because I don't know how to deal with it. But there are other people who don't know how to deal with it. Because I'm an ex-accountant, I'm a federal officer, I know this. But unfortunately, there are so many people that are getting scared on these issues. I know an officer that works with me, they called her and told her that she has to pay this at a certain time. The phone call came from, they used Bank of America's number, but it was a robocall. She went to her account, withdrew the money, went to CVS and paid that money, and then afterwards she came up and said, hey, this is what happened. I said, you're a fool for giving them, because IRS will not send you a paper.
Well, I've heard they sent us something at work showing where people are sending letters that look just like the IRS
Yeah.
letters. So, and when you call back, if you call back, if it looks real, don't give them like your social. Ask them, because Social Security will already know your information. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's Social Security.
Yeah, but just a little bit of common sense also. Do you really think a government entity is going to tell you to go to CVS to pay a bill? I mean, really, guys, give me the money.
But you're right, this kind of stuff has happened to a lot of people, and it's not a respecter of persons. I'm actually a staff attorney for a judge. My judge gets calls like these. So it's crazy, so.
You said you work for Social Security, the Social Security number is going on now because the call comes in, says from Social Security. You look at the number, it's the Social Security office number, but they want you to talk to someone.
Yeah, Social Security don't usually call you unless you got a disability claim, and they call you to ask you what doctors you've been to and stuff like that. But other than that, they do not, and I wouldn't, give them,
everyone has to know what's going on.
Correct, and they are, I've had it done to me from someone calling me from Georgia Power saying I didn't pay my bill when I knew I had paid it the day before. You know, it sounded, and when I called the number back, it sounded just like Georgia Power's, ring. I completely heard it. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, just as like a general practice, I'll come right to you. Don't give out certain information over the phone, your social security number, especially your date of birth, stuff like that. You know, that's just something you should do. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I was gonna ask a question that, this gentleman was asking earlier. So imagine somebody was married in a bona fide marriage, he had children, he's been living with his wife. However, he entered the United States illegally. Does he have any way of getting, citizenship?
Yes, he does. Well, it depends on how he entered the United States. Did he enter through a port of entry and was inspected by an immigration officer? Or did he cross now, and when I mean, he could have entered on a false passport because it happens, on a different name because it happens, but what is the big determinant is if he passed through a port of entry and there was a stamp. If he entered that, but if there was a stamp or any sort of thing that shows that he passed through a port of entry, he's going to be okay. If he did not come through a port of entry, it's called entering without inspection. When you enter Erie, it changes the entire ball game. There are ways to get a green card, but it's much more expensive on the attorney's side because it's a lot more work. Yeah.
Someone back there that had their hands up. I'll come to you next. Yes.
Actually, one question is for you, one question. You say talk about the insurance, you said, they keep raising the insurance, they should not be raising the insurance if you're clear, you know, if you have any car accident or ticket. But for example, they they give you excuse, oh yeah, because there's a lot of accident for your city, that's why your insurance is going. But according to what you say was, you should not be raising my insurance because if I'm clean. So if you give me a little bit of clarification, that's one question. The other question I have is for the criminal defense, we have somewhere, I don't know which one is that. Like when I'm just, because sometimes we discuss or you can Google it, now you get information. So as a counselor, I just wanted some answer if you can help me out. If a police stop you for, you can say like, I stop you, you don't stop completely, or you're speeding. And they ask the other question, sometimes they ask you a question, most of them, for African-American, they ask a lot of stuff. Or can I check your car? But I know some legally, they should not be asked to do that because unless they have subpoena. Somebody, they can refuse it, right? They say, hey, you stopped me for speeding, why you want to check my car? Is that person, as a person, can I refuse that? I say, no. Yeah, as long as, if you don't have a subpoena, you can't check my car. So those two questions you can answer.
I'll go first. So here is the answer. If you're stopped by police and they ask you to search your car and you say yes, they can search your car. Do you have to say yes? No. Should you ever say yes? I would say as an attorney, no. Do not give consent. Just as a general rule of thumb. So if they stop you for speeding or something like that, and then they, stop you, ask you where you're going, have you had something to drink? Hey, can I search your car? Say no. You don't have to. Now, I will say with a car, they don't have to have a search warrant. They don't have to have a warrant. There's a legal exception as to why. If they believe they stop your car, for instance, most common thing I get is, oh, it smelled like marijuana. Then with a few other little details behind it, yes, then they can search your car, but I would still say as a general rule of thumb, never consent. Because if they legally are allowed to search your car, they don't need your consent anyway.
So basically, so what you're saying, if they say no, let's say it's clean, the car's clean, I don't have nothing, you don't have nothing, so I'm that person. But if they say no, but they say the next question I'm asking, well, if you say no, oh, I got it, but I have to take you to jail. They give you kind of an excuse,
And
so
here's
the
the
how do
reality,
you defend that?
if the police are are going, if they think you are up to no good, if they think you have committed a crime, there's nothing you can say or do in that moment that's gonna get you out of it. So what I always tell my clients is, you know, on your side as a person who's stopped, you have the power of controlling, you know, the damage that's done. And so my two rules with them are, don't talk to police without an attorney, and don't consent. And those are the two things you can do to prevent anything on your end. Because if you consent to a search, then there's really no way as a lawyer afterwards, very little way for us to get that decision reversed. That they will be able to, whatever they found as a result of you saying, yep, you can search my car, you really can't do much about it. Because you consented to it.
So you just say no.
Just say no.
But like I said, they cannot, like that's what it says, they say they want to take you.
They're gonna take you anyway. And
No,
here's
but
the
if you
other
clean,
thing
I'm
you
saying,
don't
if you clean, and I'm nothing, you're clean. Let's say I'm clean, and I'm nothing, I'm clean, I know that what I stand. But they say, they force me to check, I say no. But they say, okay, if you say no, you refuse to do that, I have to take you. So how do you, how do you feel that? I mean.
Well, I mean, that's sort of a specific example. I mean, just based on that, if they stop you for speeding and, they then ask to search your car and you say no, and they say to you, well, if you don't let me search, I'm gonna take you to jail. They're gonna take you to jail anyway.
But I'm clean, I'm nothing, I know
Well,
that.
I mean, and again, you know, we can maybe talk about it one-on-one if there's a specific example of it, but my point just is this: if they want to take you to jail, they can, and they will, and nothing that you say or do is gonna get you out of it. Once they've sort of zeroed in on you, for whatever reason that is, whether it's fair or not, there's nothing you can do really on your side other than, you know, stop the damage, which is don't allow them to search your car. And don't answer any questions. You don't have to, you never have to, period, ever, 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 ever. They can catch you, you know, shooting somebody, and you're never required to answer one question. You don't have to.
Question about the insurance.
Yeah.
The key thing to think about there is why are your rates being raised? So if the scenario is that you were in an accident with somebody and you're not at fault, they can't raise your rates until you are. However, if the policy term expires or you're just buying insurance, the policy is renewing and the rates are raised, they can be that. Because as the company that's selling the insurance policy to you, they have the freedom to set it at whatever price they want. You don't have to accept it. You can say, I want to cancel the policy and go get another one.
So.
Does that answer your question?
No, so what I'm saying was not, I'm sorry, not like, let's say, I'm clean, honestly. I'm clean, I have, you know, I don't have driving license, all that stuff. But my insurance company just keep raising the insurance. You know, that's what, the reason they say it is because with the area I live is too high, well, like I say, there's a lot of accident going on. That's why they give me excuse, that's what they say.
So geographic
geographic
location does factor in, and they can set the price based on that because certain areas do have higher rates of collision. So for example, if you live in a very small town, you know, then your insurance would probably be less than if you live in Metro Atlanta because the likelihood is you're more likely to get into an accident in Metro Atlanta. If that answers the question.
So I guess that means they have right to raise the insurance, it doesn't matter. Okay,
Yes.
well, I thought that's why I was just clarification, okay. So they have the right to do it, okay, I got it, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Actually, two questions. So the first one is like, if you're in this country and you don't have authorization to work, and you're working but your employer is not paying you, do you have the right to sue that employer for not paying you? And are there any like immigration consequences of you taking that action? And then
If you're working under the table?
yeah, exactly, yeah. And then the employer is not paying you, do you have any legal recourse on that?
Oh, no, wait a minute, we should understand, when you say you're working on the table, what exactly do you mean?
Yeah, so that's like maybe you're being paid cash or you're being paid under somebody's name and that person is not, you know, paying you the labor that you're providing.
Actually, we had a case last year where we had some individuals who were in the country illegally, and they weren't being paid, they should have been paid. And even though they were in the country illegally, the employer still had to abide by the law.
there is a risk here. If you're not illegally, here illegally, there is a risk that perhaps that employer may report you, or, you know, there may be something adverse that happens to you because of this. Do you want to take that risk? And so we did advise, our clients, they were willing to go forward, like, look, you know, we should pay time and a half, we want to go forward, so we went ahead and filed a complaint, under the Fair Labor Standards Act, which requires people to pay minimum wage and overtime for 40 hours, and we're able to get the money for that. Look, we did advise the clients that, hey, you are taking a risk because you are here with something adverse that happened, but the employer does have to follow the law.
The second question I had is like the police stuff. I've heard that in Georgia, if the police stop, they can ask you for your immigration status. Is that true?
No. And again, even if they ask you your immigration status, you are not ever required to speak to police. Period. You don't have to answer any other questions. And I would certainly, I would say, definitely don't answer that question.
From the first question that he asked, would it be can the government automatically come in at that moment once they know that you are there illegally, or would the employer have to report you for the government to come up?
Well, keep in mind, I mean, there's a risk. If you know you're not here legally, and then you're filing a lawsuit publicly, stating, you know, here I am, there's a risk there. And that's why I always advise my clients, you know, this is a risk. You know, you have to decide whether you want to take that risk or not. Whether that risk is, you know, risk is because the employer reports you or whatever happens. You notice because you now file a public claim, whatever. You just need to be aware that, you know, if you are here legally and you want to file a lawsuit, in the case of, you know, my situation, a case under the Fair Labor Standards Act, I mean, it's a risk. You just need to be aware of that. I always say knowledge is power. So just be aware of that.
Yes. If the police ask you if you're a passenger and you're not driving the car, can they ask you any questions, or can they ask you for ID and stuff?
Yes, they can. They can ask you anything they want. And in fact, if you go outside right now and walk into our car, police can always come up to you and say, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? They have the right to do it, and you also have the right to say no. And so, again, if we learned anything from you today, you don't ever have to answer any of the questions. Period, by law.
I have a question, criminal defense attorney. So what is the law on expungement?
So expungement, that word is actually been changed now. The Georgia law refers to it as a record restriction, and there are, which means that in certain cases, your criminal history can be restricted from, or certain crimes you may have been convicted of can be restricted so that employers or certain people who pull your background cannot see your criminal history. It just depends on what the charge was, when you were convicted, how old you are. There's a bunch of exemptions. Or if you were arrested on a case and went to trial and you were found not guilty, you can get that arrest restricted or expunged from your record so that the arrest doesn't show up. But there is a whole host of exceptions. So it's kind of a specific question, but we definitely do have that in Georgia.
So what's the difference between expunge and restriction?
It used to be, Georgia law used to call it, like the Georgia code used to refer to it as expungement. I think in 2013 or 2012 it changed to restricted, which really does describe it better, because even when it was an expungement, I mean, if you're applying for a job with the FBI or law enforcement, they still would be able, they have more access to things that your private employer, if they pull a background check, wouldn't be able to see it. So it's restricting it from certain people. So it's just a better way to describe it, I think.
So it still shows, but it's restricted to certain views.
Depending on what the charge is, but as a rule of thumb, if you were to apply for a federal job with the government, even if it was restricted or expunged, they'll still be able to at least see that it happened, or that you may have been arrested for it, but then see that it was, you were either found not guilty or it was restricted because the law allowed you to get restricted.
Are there any fees associated with that restriction?
Yes, it's filing fees and that sort of thing. You usually have to go back to the county in which you were convicted. You go to the police department first to pull the arrest, and then go to the clerk's office, so there is a lot of administrative stuff involved with it, but it's, so it's administrative costs, that sort of thing.
And can you do it at any time, or is there a
No,
specific time?
it's depending on the specific facts of your case.
Can I just say one thing, please? For immigration purposes on restrictions and expungements, you always have to let the immigration officer know when you are filing your paperwork, any paperwork, even if it's been restricted or expunged. USCIS does not care about that, but you have to let them know.
Okay. My question is about immigration. So there's a family member that. Yes, sorry. So there's a family member that has applied for a green card, and it's been a year and 6 months. And I know I think the max time you can wait is up to 23 months. I'm not sure if I have that right. For them to give you a response whether you're denied or if you're gonna get the green card.
Well, it depends on the facts of that case.
Okay. Well, so
Is it through marriage? Is it through birth?
No.
What?
Like her daughter is applying for her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so she's reached the end. She's already did her interviews and everything was done. But in her situation, she has a lot of stuff back home, like property and a business, and in an emergency, she needed to go back just for a few weeks. So we had provided power of attorney because it's her cousin who was watching her property. And so they denied us because they said that they need to see proof that the person is really related to her, like a birth certificate, which is kind of impossible, especially to get it from Africa. So we were denied, and a week later, we received a letter, literally a week later, saying that she has 30 days because on her birth certificate, her name is spelled with a T, and on her daughter's birth certificate is spelled with a Z. So a long time ago in Africa, they made that mistake. And so they're telling her she has 30 days to either fix the birth certificate, which is almost impossible, or to provide anything else
To show that they're related?
to show that they're related. But
A DNA test will.
and I asked another attorney that, but he sounded really doubtful, like, well, only a DNA will not help. You guys have to provide other things, photographs, and like all this crazy
Okay,
stuff.
so basically, and let me just say this, because it's been popping up a lot since I've been practicing immigration law since 2014. As long as you can prove that the child that is filing for you, that you believe that was your child, and that there is a parent-child relationship established with that child, then for immigration purposes, that is your child, and that child can file for you. Now, please understand what I'm saying. There have been people, a lot of men, whom have taken care of children believing it's their child. The wife never told them it's not their child. And the only time they found out it was their child was when they did the DNA test, because now immigration is calling for a lot of DNA testing. When they did the DNA testing, they found out, whoa, this is not my child. However, because they were able to prove that they were always in the child's life, believing that was their child, they took the child to school, they sent money for the child's upkeep, birthday party photos, this, that, the other, letters, this, that, the other. They were listed as the child's parent in the child's school stuff and all of that. For immigration purposes, that child was seen as the person's child. So in this situation, an argument can be made that there's a parent-child relationship.
How can we prove that though? If she hasn't been
DNA
here?
testing, birthday party photos, affidavit letters.
So a DNA test can stand on its own?
Yeah.
And another thing, so would it be better for you to take the DNA test and turn it in yourself, or they also have a thing?
No.
Okay, but then for the one that you're gonna tell me to do, which is you send it straight.
Let's talk about this individually, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question about charged with a moving violation, and, officer pulls you over and gives you a ticket, and guarantees that no points will be added on your record. They say, if there are no points that will be added, don't worry, it's hypothetical. And you go to court, and they attempt to, put points on your record, and you hold the officer's word against him.
So, one, an officer, in your situation that you just, your example you just used, an officer cannot guarantee something that's gonna happen in court. So if they ever say, hey, you know, this is what I'm charging you with, but I'm guaranteeing you X, Y, or Z, I mean, it's just them saying it, but they don't ultimately make that decision about what happens with your case in court. And then also you should know that, a traffic ticket is criminal, it's a misdemeanor, and it's on your license and collateral consequences of a criminal offense like a traffic ticket are handled through the DMV. So there are sort of two areas that are happening at the same time, which most commonly you see it in a DUI case, right? So I guess, right, to answer your question though, no, an officer cannot guarantee what's gonna happen. No, you can't use their word later down the road, against them if you're trying to fight that issue with points on your license.
So this question is for entertainment law. So first of all, thank you to all of you for being here today. This has been super insightful and just an amazing program for the community. So thank you to each of you. But my question is, so if you are applying for a trademark, say for instance in the United States, I've read on some things, watched some videos and everything, but how much protection does that give you internationally? Like say for instance, Nike, right? Nike's in every country. Do they have trademarks in every single country, or like, what's that process like and how much protection do you get?
Yes, so to answer your question, they do have trademarks in every country. Because, United States, the trademark that you file in the United States is just good for the United States. It'll serve as a better argument when you're filing for trademark protection internationally, but when you file on the USPTO website, it's just good for the United States. So it's definitely beneficial if you can use your mark internationally to file separately, but I would say once you have United States, protection, that you're pretty much good internationally.
Yeah.
My question is for immigration. My brother, he was going to school for to become a pharmacist. He was in a UK university. We were not aware, so he was sick with schizophrenic. So he was away. He left the school and went to Dallas for some reason. He ended up in Waco, Dallas. For over a year, we weren't aware. We called, he didn't answer. I guess he was sick. And then he ended up in jail. So we found him on Google like he was in jail because they said he stabbed somebody. So he was there for 2 years. And because he was not mentally fit to be in court, so they took him to some kind of mental facility. I guess when he was fit to be in court, that he was in court and he pleaded guilty that he stabbed somebody. So after serving for 2 years, he was released. So now he's sick. He's taking a shot. He gets Invega every 3 months. Can't get insurance because of his age. So we're trying to get him to, we're trying to apply for citizenship. Can he be a citizen even though he's a felon? And also for disability, because he's not working, he's not fit to
I will
work.
speak with you about this individual.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I have a question to all of you. We already received some answers from you saying find a lawyer, as I consider it's the best answer today because it covers a lot of things. But can you please provide tips to us how to find a better lawyer, actually? And because unfortunately, I don't have friends who are lawyers or relatives who are lawyers. And I would like to hear tips from lawyers how to find a better one. Especially we all know that there's a lot of fraud on market. and would be the best source to find them through community newspaper, from radio advertisement, from referral, maybe on bar association website? What would be the best way?
Well, there are some things that a lot of people look at when they're assessing, whether or not this attorney is a good attorney. And it also depends on what are they a good attorney for. Because some attorneys specialize in some things. And you look also at the experience of the attorney, where the attorney went to school, that sort of thing. Sometimes those are good indicators. But another indicator that I always tell some people to look at how intense the attorney has to advertise. Because if you are good, a lot of referrals will come from your work. You might not have to be spending millions of dollars to be putting out television advertisements. I'm just saying. No pun, I'm not throwing sand in nobody's racks, but I'm just saying. And so those are things that if I am looking for an attorney to do some work for me, those are things that I would look at personally. I would not be going with an attorney who has a jingle and who has big television and radio advertisements, because it's like, if you're good, people will know you by your work, not by your jingle. Yeah.
I would say that it also depends on the kind of matter that you're trying to get an attorney for. And also what can you afford? You have to take those things into consideration as well. So I would definitely start with doing like a Google search. If you have a property law situation that you're dealing with, definitely look up popular property law attorneys in your area, starting with Google. That would be a good source for you to just begin your search. Now, if it's a criminal matter and finances or something that you're worried about, a criminal lawyer can be appointed to you if you're dealing with a criminal situation. And if it's a situation where you can't get a criminal lawyer appointed to you, maybe a public defender, they also have court-appointed attorneys who kind of put their name on the list that they will refer to if they can't send you to the public defender as well. But if I'm honest with you, when it comes to finding an attorney, you have to shop around. Just the first attorney that you go and see it might not work out. That might not be the person that's the best attorney for you. You have to go and speak with them and see if it's a good fit, because just like they're trying to make you their client, you want to make sure that whoever it is that you're working with is actually going to do a good job for you.
And then also just to add one last thing to that, there are publications that rate lawyers. So there's a lot of free resources. We live, in an age of technology. Everybody's reviewing everything. So if I was hiring a lawyer, I would look up if there are any reviews on that person just to see what other people have said.
Okay, but I would say this pertaining to that. That's a double-edged sword. Because some clients can be very vindictive. Take, for example, I had a client who wrote me a bounce check. When I was asking him about, I was like, this check is a fraudulent check. I said, I'm going to the police. You know what he said? Stop harassing me, and I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to post videos about your work. Now, I as a young attorney, I have to balance. Even though I know I can take him in court and totally destroy it, but do I want my name to be in a saga? So those reviews, I'm not saying that they're not helpful, but it can be a double-edged sword.
And that's where the shopping around comes from, when you meet with the actual attorney. Are
Yeah.
they actually a good fit for you?
Okay, my question is about like property. So if you own a property, if someone gets injured on your property, does your like homeowner's insurance or their renter's insurance cover injuries on the property or anything like that?
It depends on the type of injury.
So like say they trip and fall or like
So it's
something
about
like that.
general negligence, yes. Rottweiler who's been before, maybe not. But general negligence, slip and falls, that type of thing are gonna be covered under your homeowners and renter's liability portions of your policy.
And can you, if you have a tenant, can you require them to have renter's insurance?
You can,
Okay.
it has to be written in your lease contract.
If they choose, so what if you recommend it, but you don't require it, and then.
And that's just a recommendation?
Huh?
That's just a recommendation?
So if you put in there, recommend it, and if they choose not to get renter's insurance, and then, you know, their personal belongings is.
Their personal belongings are gonna be their responsibility.
Because it'll usually have some type of language that says if you choose not to elect to choose this coverage, that you're responsible for whatever it is that you're covering. So,
I want to ask about, so you know how there are multiple companies that advertise DNA testing for, ancestry and ethnic background. And recently there was a news article I read about one of those companies selling their information to the government. And is there any way you can sue an insurer for raising rates based on your DNA? So like, let's say ancestry gives your DNA to.
I would bring that before the EEOC, because then that's very much discriminatory, based on your race and your ethnic background.
But you're talking about not in the employment context. I mean, this is.
Oh, no, on the Title 7, sorry. And that's just race-based.
But it's not, the
But
EEOC.
it's not, oh, yes, sorry.
So like, let's say they have your DNA and, in your DNA, like in the test, you're more likely to have high blood pressure, you're more likely to develop, this type of cancer. And they sell your DNA to, a health insurer, and they raise your premiums. Can you go to court based on that?
We're trying to figure out who's gonna handle that.
Sorry, no.
And I think eventually they're going to, regard that, yeah. And whether you actually gave them permission to be able to sell your stuff, but we don't have to do that, I think that would be coming down, and that's something we probably need to go over and see if anybody, we will need class action suits against any of those ancestry places.
And you'll probably receive some sort of notice if you are, like, if you did do a test for them, and maybe there is a class action suit, or you might see a commercial, we're doing a class action suit against this sort of company, and if that's something that you wanna pursue, that could be an option for you too.
And I'm just thinking about it because I know Fulton County actually just indicted a cold case murder. It's like it's a 30-year-old unsolved murder, and they just arrested the guy for this 30-year-old murder based on an Ancestry.com DNA match. And so they're actually dealing with, if he even has standing to challenge. And so it kind of deals with this issue of, do you even have a right to your DNA after you give it to give it to a private company? And I think the answer right now is no. So, yes.
And if you think of it too, those little shopper carts that they give you at Kroger and stuff, that they scan when you go get your medicine from there too, they know that kind of stuff too. What kind of medicines you're getting, does it link to your card, to your name? We didn't think about that when they started sending all these shopper carts out and stuff. Yeah, they know everything about it.
We're gonna take a couple more questions, and we're gonna do the breakout, because there are some people who mentioned that they have some information that was sensitive, and didn't wanna do it while we were up here. Yes, sir.
Yeah, health insurance company refuse to renew a policy for any reason, and whatever we have on the customer. For something, let's say, many years, they decide to not renew the policy, and then you end up paying too much for another company for insurance. Do you have a right to custody of the policy holder?
If they do not want to renew your policy,
If they refuse to renew the policy?
so they can deny your policy.
A customer for many years.
They can deny to renew your policy as long as they don't deny it for a discriminatory reason.
they don't have any justification for not being.
As long as the reason is not discriminatory, yes, they can. So they, as the company selling that policy, they have the right to choose who they want to sell it to, so they can choose. As long as it's not, they're not discriminating, so if they say, we're not selling you the policy because of where you're from, or your gender, or your sexual orientation, that is a problem, they can't do that. But if they don't want to renew your policy for any other reason, yeah, they can do that. And I think we'll take maybe one more question. Yes.
Thank you for coming here, and appreciate you as a service. As they say, most lawyers are usually for money, and you give out your service, we appreciate it. Coming to the question, we got the immigration. Usually they want we from third world country, they want us birth certificate and other documents that is hard to obtain. What's the alternative for those documents? Let's say from my experience, a few years ago, they asked me for birth certificate of my parents, which is hard to get those birth certificates. We talk about some years down the line, and even now, we can start birth certificates. So what's the other alternative?
This is a case of Peter paying for Paul and Paul paying for all. You really have no alternative now. Because things like birth certificates, people have manipulated the system, provided false birth certificates. You're from Africa. My grandfather is from Nigeria, grandmother from South Africa. I could get a birth certificate in Nigeria saying I'm a white male, I'm 22 years old, and my name is John James. And this has flooded the system for a very long time. And now, plain and simply, because of the vetting they're doing, if you don't have it, they're just not taking it. Because you have to vet who is coming in the country. And we've had situations where people have come in on false documentations, and they were criminals back in their country, and they've come in here under totally different identity in the United States, and they've given problems here. So now Peter's paying for Paul, and Paul is paying for all. Yeah. So you have to, plain and simply, something like a birth certificate is something that you will have to have.
I hope that answers your question. There's no alternative, unfortunately.
And I understand what you're saying, that a lot of people who live in the rural areas, they don't have birth certificates. I totally understand that. But then, how am I sure this is your identification when you come to the consulate?
I'll give you an example. A few years down, what I did, there was a website that says people from these countries, they have to bring or like a witness, if somebody will witness for you to
Yeah.
that would be what I got to my case. I don't know now, that was, I'm talking about a few years now. But I don't know how it's going now.
I'm just being straight up with you.
Yeah.
Now because states have
Right, that's why I'm asking, yeah.
I'm being honest, in some situations, they still take affidavits for certain things. But in others, it's been revamped.
So you have to get any kind of document for whatever reason, just bring it, right?
It depends on which document they ask.
Birth certificate is most.
Birth certificates, mostly they want an authentic thing now. And it also depends on where you're coming from.
Let's all be aware, that's what I'm trying to bring.
Yeah. Some things they will take affidavits for, but things like your identification, and can you really blame the government? They want to know who is coming in the country.
Everybody, thank you. So we're gonna do a breakout session. If there's an attorney that you want to speak to, they'll take us to the table. Just come and ask them whatever you want to ask. you all.
I love your hoodie.
How are you?
It's awesome.
Well, this is all not on.
Oh, this is still going.
Stop that.